Hi, I'm Rachel Fox, and today I'm going to be speaking with a family friend, Rebecca, about her son who's been diagnosed with Crohn's and liver disease. How are you today, Rebecca?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. So I'd first like to open up the interview and start with talking about your son's diagnosis and your own professional expertise in the health field.
Okay. He just recently, maybe a year ago, was diagnosed with liver disease and also Crohn's disease. And they are very much managed by diet, and so I have a background in nutrition, and so that's been helpful in helping him get well, but I've also used resources around just knowing where the resources are has been very helpful, and being able to read labels. So he's 16 years old, and so he eats quite a bit, so that's definitely been a good way to manage it.
Yeah. So what kind of was your deciding factor to step in and intervene with your son's health?
Well, this time last year he was deteriorating. It was very difficult to get doctors to believe me that he went from 145 pounds to 126, that there was something wrong with him from September till December, and finally we did get an appointment, and when we were getting some of the major tests on, one of them being an upper and lower GI, I saw a young girl getting an infusion of Remicade, and I thought, well, is this going to be our life for the rest of his life? Is he going to every 6 weeks need to come to a hospital? And there's lots of side effects to medications, and that's when I realized from my own background that the dietary part is a big part of this that people don't maybe even realize. So I started researching and getting books. I have some of those books, and I even called around to people that had, the new people that had Crohn's and had been diagnosed, and as I called around, all of them had lost pieces of their intestines or had a bag, and they were only teenagers. They were 16 to 18 years old, and I decided, you know what, not on my watch. And it may happen that they may happen, but I'm going to do everything I can. And my husband and I just started researching more detail, because when you go through nutrition, you learn all diets, but it's different when you live it. It's a totally different thing. So I say I did my master's degree in my kitchen. I just got books and looked online and talked to different specialists, and there definitely was a combination between the medications. You definitely need to start out with the medications, but our goal was to get him off as soon as possible.
Definitely.
So I put him on a gluten-free, dairy-free, low-fat, low-salt, low-sodium diet because of the liver and the Crohn's together. It wasn't just one, but just seeing people who actually told me about these books, and their children were having parts of their intestines removed, but they didn't read the books. And I thought, that's not going to be me. And that may happen to him, but not after I've exhausted all possibilities, all the natural possibilities.
Yeah, so definitely. That's, so great of you to be able to take that step and do your own research. And I know you and I have talked about a holistic approach and how you're trying to get away from the medicine, but it's great that you understand that that's also a key.
It is, and our doctor was very good. We go to a doctor in Princeton who was a liver and a Crohn's specialist, and he's been wonderful. We combine two different, he looks at what I say and respects my opinion, and he's done a lot of things to make sure, like, his vitamins are well, and just, so I've been very, very much encouraged by him to use both things, to be as natural as possible, and then to also use the medicine. And David's actually coming off the medicine sooner than they thought. Usually he's about 6 months to a year sooner getting off the medications than most.
That's great.
And that was our goal. That was our goal.
So I'd love for you to kind of go into a typical day for you and your son. What's he eat in the morning? What are you regulating throughout the day? What are his activities kind of like?
When he first was diagnosed, he pretty much was on a liquid diet. I didn't even give him vitamins. Everything was kind of pureed so he could assimilate it. And it's amazing that almost a year later, he is eating some of the foods he is. But he is, a growing teenager, so we start out at like 6:15 in the morning with a gluten-free cereal with a very natural chicken sausage, 2 pieces of that, and then he actually has 7 hours before he gets lunch at school. So I send him, I make my own natural pulled pork in a crock pot with my own sauce.
Ooh, that sounds good.
So he has cold pulled pork, and he has a full sandwich with the gluten-free bread, which I toast because it tastes better. And I get the boar's head, no sodium, natural turkey, and the ham, and I put that together. So he actually, 3 periods into the day, eats the sandwich during one of his classes, because he can't go 7 hours without eating.
Definitely.
And then at lunch he has the cold pulled pork and 2 oranges, an apple. I send him with red pepper sticks. Then I get gluten-free cookies, because he's a teenager. He needs
little sweets.
And with Crohn's you have to be careful with the sugar, but he's a teenager. So we have that, and I usually make a trail mix of some sort. Either I make my own granola, or I make my own homemade healthy
that's great.
donuts, which have all kinds of flaxseed and they're very low sugar.
I may ask you for that recipe. Okay.
And they're not fried, they're just in one of the baked things.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I do is sometimes I make them a trail mix of nuts and then one of the gluten-free cereals, and they have, Enjoy Life has a dairy-free chocolate chip, so I mix those three up, because
That's great.
he's also dairy-free. He's dairy-free, gluten-free, low salt, low fat, lower protein.
Okay,
So
that's tough, yeah. And I know with Crohn's, it's recommended to have smaller portions more
Yes.
frequently throughout the day. So is that kind of why you send him to school with snacks and
yes,
things like that?
and part of it is that he can't go. He eats at 6:15 and doesn't eat again till 1 o'clock. That's
Right.
7 hours. Like,
Yeah.
Then he walks through the door after he doesn't get his lunch till 1.
Okay.
2:30 he walks through the door, and he usually has either leftover dinner from the night before. We call it his pre-dinner dinner.
Uh-huh.
Or I have gluten-free chicken tenders that I cook ahead of time and freeze, and he just microwaves them and eats those. And then a couple hours later, we have dinner.
Right.
And you know, I try to balance, make not too much sodium. You know, I made a beef stew last night with very lean beef. It's actually called North African beef stew, and it actually has low sodium, no salt tomatoes in it, and onions, and which he can take, and that's good for the liver. And I do it in the crock pot, and I make a lot of it.
great.
So tomorrow it will be his
Pre-lunch?
first dinner. His first dinner.
Oh, pre-dinner, okay.
And then he eats a snack. You actually can get gluten-free pizza crusts, and I put sauce, and then there's
Nice.
Daiya cheese, which is not the best thing, but now and then, you know, he has to be a teenager, so.
We're making it fun for him, which
Yeah.
is, I think, important. Where do you food shop for all these
Well-
foods? And I mean, the rest of your family doesn't have Crohn's and liver disease. Is
Right.
that a challenge for you to food shop separately, or?
Well, it was at first, because he
Okay.
was on such a, he's built up to this. He was on a liquid diet that I put him on. I mean, it was just, we have built up to him being able to eat, you know, pulled pork. But originally, I went to like 6 or 7 different grocery stores. In fact, I have a sheet I was going to show you. My husband made them up in four rows of where I got everything.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And that's what I did. I took off 3 months while this was going on, and I stayed home and was either online at the grocery store or cooking.
Yeah.
And so we made this up, but so I went to all these different stores. I don't know if you want to know where they were.
No,
but
please,
Whole
definitely, and for
Foods
our viewers.
Trader Joe's and all the different health food stores, and McCaffrey's has stuff, and Giant has
McCaffrey's
stuff.
is great.
But more recently, ShopRite has opened up right
Really?
down the street from where I work,
Yeah.
and they have everything. I only
That's
have to go there
wonderful.
and a health food store.
Oh, wow.
So that has changed my life. That's only
Yeah.
the last month, because I would leave work and then that's what I did. I would grocery shop every single day. I felt like I lived in Europe, and I went out and got my food every day.
Yeah, day by
And-
day.
And now they have pretty much everything. So I may now and then go to BJ's, and they have a lot of natural things, a lot of the organic meats, and
Nice.
they're really working towards that. And a lot of the grocery stores are, but I find ShopRite has whole aisles of gluten-free, and they have all kinds of meats, from whether you want natural or you don't care, you know.
Yeah.
There's so many choices, so.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you've brought some food for us to kind of take a look at as some of the things you buy for your son regularly. So let's take a look at them.
Sure.
Here, Rebecca's brought some of the foods that her son eats throughout the day, some of his favorites, I'm sure. Are these some of the cereals that you were mentioning that he
Yes.
likes?
Yes,
Okay.
and I have to say you have to be careful with gluten-free things, because sometimes the ingredients are really not as healthy as they should be. So
Really?
make sure you read like xanthan gum, carrageenan.
Okay.
They're pretty much in a lot of this stuff, but if it could be the last ingredient on the list, it's much better. Okay, but yeah, this is Vans is one of the better brands of anything. They tend to use better ingredients, and I have to tell you at ShopRite, this is like $3.99. Everywhere else, it's $7.
Oh my gosh.
He
good
goes
to
through a
know.
box every 3 days.
Oh wow. Cereal's his favorite.
So this cereal I use, I actually mix with peanuts and the Enjoy Life.
Oh, okay. Here's some
Dairy
peanuts.
free, I think they're nut free and gluten free.
Oh,
So I
great.
mix the nuts, and I try to get the ones from the natural food store because nuts can grow molds on them. And
Okay.
if you have any kind of IBD, you do not want any kind of mold in your intestines.
I'm
so.
sure not. And I see some Udi's bread here.
Yes.
So does he normally stick with Udi's as a brand for
He
bread?
does, and what we do is it's kind of, the best way to really deal with it is to toast it first. I even toast it before I make a sandwich. And I try, because with Crohn's, you really want to be careful of your carbohydrate.
Okay.
He actually eats his, like the pulled pork that I send him with, he doesn't take on a roll.
Oh,
because he's already having a sandwich with a roll.
Okay.
So we try to be careful of having too many of the rolls and even the gluten free.
Smart. Okay.
So.
And I see some crackers here and some
Yes.
snack foods.
These
and
are
things
really
like that.
good, a good brand,
Absolutely gluten free.
And I will add, natural peanut butter to that. Sometimes I'll send that instead of like granola or the natural things that I make. I try to make everything I can from scratch, but you really can't, so you have to be able to fill up with these things. And quite honestly, when he goes off to college, he's not gonna have everything made from scratch.
No, but some of these, I'm sure he'd want to make some of these cookies. They look delicious. I
You
can't
might even taste them, because they're really good. Have you ever tried one?
No, I never
You
have.
can open either one. I brought them for if you want to try.
I will. That would be great. Oh, I'll do that one. That one's
Okay. Well, the Enjoy Life actually tends to have better ingredients, the Enjoy Life.
Really?
And again, we taste tested so many things. I felt like I was a taste test kitchen for 3 months.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even eat these things to start out with.
Okay.
To be able, and you have to be careful.
Oh, I'm
People with
sure.
Crohn's shouldn't eat a lot of sugar, a lot of carbohydrate, and even with things like it's more preferable that you have a piece of fruit than juice, because juice will just go right to the gut. It's got the sugar in it. So even being careful not to eat too many bananas, things like apples and oranges would be better than the banana, because the banana has so much sugar in it. But it depends upon, if you can digest it. But mostly for him, we found it's the gluten and the dairy that's the problem.
These are delicious.
Aren't they good?
Yeah, and they're gluten free.
Yep.
They're chocolate vanilla cream. Taste just like Oreos. I have to be honest, and I'm gluten free myself. I'm about to go buy these. These are great.
Well,
yeah.
we do some brownies too.
Oh my goodness.
There's all kinds of different mixes for brownies. Betty Crocker makes a really good one.
Okay.
That my son and all his friends come over. They come over for my brownies. But I was
They
trying
look
a new
delicious.
brand because Pamela's has better ingredients in it than, quite honestly, the Betty Crocker. But if he ends up wanting the others, now and then having stuff like that, you have to be able to live on this diet. And
Yes,
so careful.
definitely.
But I definitely believe in holistic and being careful, but you have to
Making it
live
practical.
too. You have to.
Definitely, I think so.
So.
Thank you so much for sharing these foods. They all look delicious.
And a really good sausage to get that's natural is Coleman brand, and ShopRite carries that, or a Fresco. And I actually I get the chicken and apple, and I take out off the casing.
Okay.
And it's already pre-cooked, so that's what he has.
Great.
In the morning, and they also have Vans has a really good gluten-free waffles, which you want to be careful again because that turns into sugar. But if you have it with the sausage, that gives you the protein and kind of balances everything.
Yeah.
For a lot of people with Crohn's, they stay away from the gluten, but they probably need to stay away from the dairy also.
Okay.
And it seems like a lot of foods are doing both now, because people are having a lot of problems with dairy and also nuts and those kinds of things.
So what kind of overall advice would you give some of our viewers that have Crohn's, or some maybe family members that have children even that are dealing with Crohn's?
I would say just don't be afraid to research and get online. There's a lot of websites that have recipe sites, like allrecipesisone.com, and they have a gluten-free section. And don't be afraid to experiment. Let your child experiment, because then they're going to eat it. And if I can feed my son who just eats all day long, and he's gained weight. I mean, he went from 126 to 145. We called it his air diet to start out. It's almost like funny, like how are you going to gain weight?
Yeah.
But you do find more of the stores, grocery stores, it is such a problem now, people with this, that we go out to dinner now. I mean, almost every restaurant has a gluten-free,
It's
wonderful,
great.
and
Yes, I know.
you deal with that. But I would say just don't be afraid to get online and research and know ahead of time, because if I had not done that, he might not have been diagnosed for a lot longer. And so don't, if your child, just let them be part of it. That other people are dealing with these things, and it's just a common thing now. And I would say be your own advocate. Being your own advocate with the doctor. Don't be afraid to bring in the natural and the medicine, because like my son doesn't have to take a lot of the medicine now because we've done all these things, and he sticks to it because he knew how he felt. And he doesn't want to get infusions.
He feels better.
He feels better, and he's back to doing sports. And he was home for 3 months, and his grades ended up doing very well because we got right on the diet. And, so
You really saw an improvement.
I really did. And like I said, it's such a common thing now that if stores are catering and restaurants are catering, although there's probably not a restaurant that we can't go to with him now.
That's wonderful.
So,
Well, that's great advice. Thank you so much, Rebecca, and I'm sure our viewers will thank you as well.
Sure, and I hope that's helpful to anyone.
Definitely. And we're glad your son's doing well now.
Well, thank you.
Of course.